everybody. Hear me okay? Good evening. My name is Mike Murray. I'm a project manager with Enbridge Pipelines. I came down this morning from northern Wisconsin, Duluth, Minnesota, Superior, Wisconsin, where I hail from. It seems like I'm down here about once a week as my project team is working on what we call the Line 78 project for Enbridge. And met with the mayor about a week ago, and he asked us to come and do a small presentation, just to update everybody on how the Line 78 project's coming. I've been working on this project for 2 years now, primarily in planning, permitting, meeting with regulatory authorities, and then of course the easy part is designing and engineering the thing. That's the easy part, next to building it. So I just want to let everybody know things are progressing well. This project, for those of you that, I guess Mike and I were here back in March or April, updated everybody, but since then, things are progressing quite well. Most of our right-of-ways acquired, or about to be acquired in the next couple of months. We are 79 miles from our Flanagan terminal in Pontiac, and we cross diagonally across the state, about 80 miles, 79 miles, up to Shearville and the Griffith terminal at the end of the way there. So it's just under 80 miles. It's a 36-inch diameter steel pipeline. And we plan to be starting construction in the spring of 2015. Good Lord willing and weather, we'll start maybe around mid-April with actual construction. And our mission is to have this constructed, complete, and in service by the 30th of September of 2015. And right now things are on schedule and moving along quite well. I guess we're here tonight to just talk about concluding a transaction with the village here for a small piece of land that the village owns over in the logistics center off of Sauk Trail, just over the way here. And there is a small parcel that Sauk Village controls or owns right in this little diagonal piece right here. And all we're asking for is a 50-foot permanent easement to route our pipeline through that area of development. We're also working with Dermody Properties, who controls the bulk of this area, as well as another outfit by the name of National Loan Investors. There's 3 properties there, Sauk Village being one of them, where our route crosses. So we've pushed everything over to the east so as not to encroach on any development opportunities that the village or Dermody may have. And so that's basically where we're at today. And I just wanted to make sure everybody had an opportunity to ask any questions, or if I could fill in any more information for you, I'd be happy to do so.
Closely with Village of Sauk Village. We've met quite a few times since the beginning of this project when they started to look at where they're going through, and they have made strides to make sure that they do not affect future developments in the TIF. If you look at the areas they're going in, they're going through ComEd easements. To the south of Sauk Trail, they come across, they're still in easements. And then they come across, they're following ditch lines for us. They're following as close as they can to 394 so that it does not affect future developments. You all have the agreement in front of you, the 50-foot permanent easement that you're asking for, along with a little bit of square footage that they asked for a short period of time, in case they have to go back and do any additional work. I think it's for a year or 2 years afterwards. I can't remember the time frame, but it's all inside the paperwork you've got. And for a total compensation paid to the village, it's rounded up. It's at $65,500 for the portion of land that belongs to the village. Like I said, they're working with 2 other companies, which you have DP Partners, own the property, and National. owns the other portion. So we are the portion in the center. EP Partners is the portion to the north, and National would be the portion to the, we'll call it south, southeast, southwest of the portion. So we're bringing it for the village board tonight. They're here to answer any questions. So I don't know if I'll open up to the board to get any questions. Wait the mic.
Thank you. I just have one question. Behind Deer Creek subdivision right there, going down, I guess that's the comment area, correct?
This is the comment corridor.
Comment corridor. Okay. Are we going to have a meeting before we start digging, or is this the last one before digging?
We're considering additional meetings to invite the community in to discuss the project. We have not come to a conclusion yet whether those meetings will.
Can't hear you.
Talk like right into it.
Right there. We are discussing having additional meetings, as you know. We had an open house here during the spring. We also did a series of other outreach meetings to the community, and we also did before this board several times. So we're still discussing what our plans are going to be for additional reconstruction meetings. We should have that decision in the next few weeks. We just need to talk about it a little bit more, where those meetings, if possible, will be, what the teams will look like. Because if we do decide to do them, which there's been no decision yet, we would like to have several of them up and down the line. Normally there would be about 4, one in Livingston County, one in Will County, one in Cook County, and then one in Indiana.
Okay, thank you. Just when that happens, kind of let me know. I kind of try to get the word out and let people know. So as you just stated, let them know that this is the meeting. Don't wait until later on when you start seeing the shovel, and all of a sudden someone wants to show up and ask you why are they doing it. I just wanted to know that. That's the question I had. Well, I do have another one as far as going into DB Partners. The way I understand it is going all the way down to the railroad, correct? So you're going to be coming down that corridor, going all the way to the railroad, and when you get to the railroad, you're going to go along the railroad all the way to Indiana, correct? Right. Okay. Thank you.
And again, the area that they're putting the pipe in is along 394. So it's, again, Sauk Village loses no development future developments within our tech. Any other questions?
You said you did a study, environmental study on our after.
I'm sorry, could you repeat
Did
that?
you do environmental study on Sauk County?
We've applied for our national permits, yes.
And you received it, right?
I'm sorry.
Have you received it?
We expect our permit from the Corps of Engineers late this year.
You want to have a copy of that when you receive it? Can you give us a copy of that when you receive it?
I'll have to look into that, yes.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Hearing none. Gentlemen, I appreciate you coming out. And if you have any other questions, you can reach out to me or put something in a box. I'll make sure I get it out to Enbridge. But we'll look to have this on the consent agenda for approval next Tuesday night, as long as there's no issues.
I do have one there,
Okay.
as far as the compensation part, I would like to, we want to discuss that now or later, but I want to discuss that part, where that money is going to be placed and how.
General fund.
I would like to see, can we earmark, in other words, instead of going into the general fund, can we earmark for something pertaining to the village as far as a program to streets, starting a sidewalk, 50/50 sidewalk program, we can probably pay for, put so much in each year, have the residents, this way we can, a lot of times we can't get to the sidewalks, but if we have a 50/50 program, residents pay 50% and the village pays 50%. Something like that could be earmarked for maybe 3 or 4 years, we put so much in to do that. Because we're not able to do it as fast as a lot of people. Some people may want to pay for that, may want to pay whatever it is, so we can go out and get a study to find out how much it would cost to do so many feet in front of your house. that type of earmarking, rather than just, we know what happens in those general funds, so we don't have any money to go. So I just want to.
So the general fund pay to us.
Right, but I'm just saying, this money is something that we did budget for. We didn't know this was coming in. So I was asking, can we put this money, even though, yes, it goes to general fund, but earmarking rate cannot come out for anything else other than what this board decides to take it out for, rather than having general fund and then when we don't have it, we take it out there. But that's how we did that before with the part that we did before with the noise mitigation. So I'm just asking, can we put this money aside, earmark it for something, a program or something? We got fire hydrants, different things, other than not everything, and then it's gone in a year.
I think, number one, DP Partners and CN are two separate things. Just like Enbridge, when they gave us money in the past, those were earmarked for streets and things like that. So this year is a sale of property, which should go to the general fund. We know that we started the year off owing money from last year. So I think it's important that we take any additional funds we get to make sure we can continue paying off our bills and getting us back to seeing the positive balance. But again, this is a one-time thing, $65,000. It's not something that we're getting yearly.
No, that's why I was asking. We have other things that are really, really important in the village. As I stated before, sidewalks, I walk the sidewalks, I know you have too, and you see that they're permanent and things like that. We put a program where the people that live in front of it are willing to pay 50%, the village pays 50%, so that money's gone, that helps that too. Fire hydrants, I mean, just to put it into general fund, and then when we need it. This is something that we didn't know was coming. You know, just like everything else, we didn't know this was coming. So I was asking, can we at least put it before the board and let the board decide on what we would like to do with it, rather than just throw it in general fund, and as soon as we need some money, we take it out of there. We always need money. We always got to have bills. We're always going to be in debt.
And we have, currently, we have vendors that need to be paid. So,
I understand that, but
we
we
have
didn't know
vendors,
this was coming.
I know it is, and that's the good thing about it. So you have vendors for the police department that need to be paid, you have vendors for the fire department that need to be paid. We put it for the board. The board can make a recommendation, but my recommendation is for it to go in the general fund, so we can continue, getting our vendors paid. Again, this is a sale of property. This is not something that we're getting in that's earmarked.
No, it's not. I'm asking the earmark. I'm asking the earmark. No, it's not earmarked. I'm asking to have an earmark that we can use maybe 2 or 3 years of it and just use it all at one time. And as far as paying the vendors, I mean, we talked about that in the budget time. I think that's why I was asking you what to talk about.
These guys have to go. So
That's why I asked.
And then, I know the fire department. All right, thank you very much. That's it. Okay, yeah, we'll go for it. So I know we said it's up to the rest of the board. Anybody else have any comments on that?
I think that the sidewalk program is a good program if we had the fund. We weren't so far into the whole, I feel like. I know that's something that we've been talking about for years. It's something that people ask about. It's something that is definitely a concern with the residents. But I think we kind of need to look at, we made a lot of cuts. Should have last budget like we do every year. But there's a lot of things that we have been kind of going without. I think we need to look at that before we open up the program. At least, especially for like the entirety of the city program.
Again, you're right. We budgeted for that, but that's $5,000 for one door for the police department. And they need 2 doors for us, that's $10,000. Again, even though it's budgeted, we still don't have money for it. So, like I said, the vendors, I meet with the fire chief and the police chief all the time. And they're constantly talking to me about their vendors that need to be paid. Something like this is a little bit extra money that we get, that we can get these vendors paid. So we can keep, especially our safety departments, continue keeping them up and running. So, again, I would love to do sidewalks. It's a good career, I'd be interested in. If we had extra money, I'd jump on
money that we didn't know this sale was gonna happen. That's why the reason why I wanted to put it to the side, because we didn't know this would happen. We at budget time, that this was gonna happen. We didn't know that we were gonna sell or we were gonna get easement, money for that. We didn't know that. Had we known that, sure, that probably would have been in the budget too. But it wasn't. But we need, I mean, yes, we're gonna always owe money. We're always gonna have a deficit. We're always gonna have an aging report. I'm just looking at something now we can move forward and we can start doing something, put in the money. This would be one of the good ways to start doing it. If we can add money to that each and every year out of the budget to enhance that. I mean, that's all I'm asking. The sidewalks in the village are terrible. We have to start somewhere. You know, we may not have the money as a village, but if the residents are willing to pay half of the cost and the village pays half the cost, we could put in maybe $10,000 a year for that, and when that money's gone, then next year we put another $10,000. This year you get 6 years worth of that, of sidewalks, first come, first served, until the money's out. But I do know, and you do know, once that money hits the general fund, and the first person that comes in crime is gone.
Come on, do first. If we get somebody here to do it.
Well, whenever it comes, when it happens, and this is not a lot of money, we're not talking about, this is only $65,000, $10,000 may go a long way with doing sidewalks in people's yards or whatever, and it shows that we're trying to help those that want to help themselves. That's all.
All right, move to item number 3, ordinance amending chapter 82. So again, this is the adult use moratorium extension. So what Sherry brought before us last Tuesday. The recommendation from the attorneys that we extended again for, I think it's another 180 days. Any trustees have any questions about this one? We don't have any questions about it. Ask this to be placed on the consent agenda for next Tuesday night. All right. Move to cost savings initiatives. If the board has anything they want to bring tonight for cost savings initiatives. All right. We'll continue keeping this on committee meetings. If you have anything, bring it forward. All right. We'll move to item number 5, public comment. All questions or comments? All questions and comments will be directed to the mayor. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to speak for a comment on a topic of their choice. Each speaker will be allowed 1 opportunity to speak. And if you would please state your name and address for the record.
Mr. Mayor, Red Cotton, 46, one good thing to use some of that money for would be to pay the people that have been cutting that grass. They need to be paid. They need to be paid because they didn't start cutting that grass because they had plenty of money. They started cutting that grass so they could try to make some of their bills. Some of them are about to lose their home. I'm one of them. So I know that we need to be paid.
Mr. Harvey's talking about is the grass that's being cut at vacant homes, things like that. There's been some issues with the grant money. We're still expecting to receive it, but we have not received it yet. Or at least we have, the housing authority has not received it yet. I think everyone's housing authority Commissioner Holden's been doing a pretty good job trying to keep the board up to speed on what's going on. But we're not the only community that has not received funds. There's like 53 communities that are supposed to be getting these funds, and none of the communities have received it, so Sauk is not the only community. So let's say that we're either going to have to look seriously at if these funds are paid. We know we're going to get paid. We've been assured by through the grants and stuff, Sauk Village will end up getting money back, getting paid back for what we spent, but something the board needs to consider. I think we're up to approximately $16,000 in unpaid balances for people that's been out mowing grass in these vacant homes. So, again, every community has been assured they're going to get their money. We're just waiting for the money to come in. something the board might want to consider thinking about. If we're going to continue mowing grass, or if we're going to stop the program until the funds come in. So, or if we go off and we pay the money, we don't make the money going to be reimbursed. All right? Rose?
Rose Langston. I think it's ludicrous to hold money aside for something because, as you know, a budget that is set means a budget is a budget. Doesn't mean that you have the money. If you don't have the money, you don't pay it. Your vendors do need to be paid. And as far as the sidewalk is concerned, I think if we need the money, fine. There's been a lot of screaming about fixing the streets and hydrants. Those should come prior to the sidewalk. I do want to mention on another note is there was a flyer out there about the Rochester, their multi-award winning bluegrass gospel music. They have a concert on Sunday, September 21st at 6 p.m. at Baptist Church on Burnham. And I also want to mention that tomorrow, those Jones Center, the Golden Agers, are having Walgreens there giving free flu shots. Also, Boone Township is taking appointments for flu shots on Tuesday and Wednesday, October 21st and 22nd. And just a reminder to all of you, we have our 11th annual Senior Spaghetti Dinner. I have tickets, Garrett has tickets, and Frank Williams and Larry Stewart at Village Hall, and the rest of the committee have tickets. Advance tickets are $5. At the door, it's $6. And I certainly hope you would support us on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Now you're reminding me, when, show us on date.
October 11th, 1 to 4.
October 11th. Now, one good thing too is we talked about a month ago about how the governor has signed off on funds to communities. Now, if you remember, there was a $50,000 grant or a $25,000 grant, 175, 135. We just got done completing the paperwork for the $75,000 grant, which is for e-boxes and water issues. And we just got done finishing the paperwork for the $50,000, which is for fire hydrants. I signed off on all that. Must have been last Thursday or Friday or something. So we signed off on everything and we sent it in, and we're hoping to get that money. As soon as we get that money in, we'll go ahead and start moving forward on getting Public Works to start working on the B-boxes and fire hydrants. So the other thing too is we talk about some monies and stuff that we had Enbridge here tonight. If you go down Jeffrey Avenue, you'll notice that MFT funds we did from Sauk Trail up to the library. If you go past the library, you'll see a lot of large patches that were repaired. That was through the $23,000 that Enbridge provided for additional repairs to Jeffrey. So that work has all been done with Enbridge money. And then when you get down to Peterson Avenue and you go west, that was all done through MFT funds. So all that work has been great. I think there might be a little bit of minor things to do left when it comes to landscaping and a couple things around the driveways, but a lot of work was done in that area. So, all right, thanks. Rachel.
Rachel Lupin. I think that these sidewalks would really benefit like moms who have like strollers who need to go down the street, and also bike riders or kids going home from school and stuff. It's very dangerous for people who are walking on the shoulder. People are texting and driving, they don't pay attention, and then somebody can get hit. So I think that our safety, I think that the sidewalk would be a safety thing, and it would be very good for our families to have it, only because of how foolish people are in cars nowadays. They don't pay attention, and a car is a bad weapon. So I think that's very well, like that'll be very good for us. Also, I wanted to know if that was that a petition to get money, or we are getting that money? Those people that were here, is that what?
The village board has to go to, yeah.
Oh, they
It's
want to
a
pay
sale.
you.
It's a sale of property.
Oh, okay, so that's good.
Sure.
Okay.
The sold and everything else.
Well, I just
All
didn't
right.
know if we were discussing that.
All right, anything else? Okay, Judy?
Judy Katz. I wasn't here for a few weeks, so share with me if these questions have been asked while I was gone. But quite some time ago, it was asked, and then it was re-asked, and then the audience asked, and I don't know the answer to it. The AutoZone is going to be opening up, having ribbon cutting and all that good stuff. It was asked to have that property owner here for a meeting to find out what he's gonna do for the tax break that he's getting. And that's never been answered, and you're gonna have a ribbon cutting, and I think I mentioned once before, that's great that that's there, and they're doing a wonderful job of making it look great. But when they look out the window, they're still gonna see a ghetto. They don't have proper lighting, and they do not have a proper parking lot there. Somebody's gonna get hurt. But nobody's answered the question if we're gonna have a meeting with this man, and if he's going to be put on the spot about what he's gonna do with the money he's saving with taxes. And I don't think that giving him the tax rate just because things are going up in the world is a good excuse to give it to him, because everything's going up in the world for all of us, and we're not all getting breaks. Secondly, I thought, and I'm not sure, that we have an ordinance in Sauk Village about trailers and semis and what is parked in people's driveways. I see flatbed tow trucks backed into driveways. The other day, I had to get out of the way because ABF had a semi coming down, turned from Sauk Trail onto 221st. And then it was backed into somebody's personal driveway, and they disconnected the trailer and let it sit there, and they drove off with the other part of the truck. This in itself is not helping our sidewalks with that kind of weight going over them, and I thought that was not permitted. But I'm seeing it in numerous places here in the village. That's the end of my question.
All right, let's go back to local networks. Tow trucks, things like that, some tickets are issued, and I can give Sherry and give you an update, but there is quite a few tickets that are issued to, like I don't know if it's the same one, but I've seen flatbeds. And you're right, they're not supposed to be backing up over the sidewalk, because that's where all our infrastructure is, for all our waters and stuff like that. So there's a bit that it's supposed to go over the sidewalks. So I do, yeah, I do know that tickets have been issued, because I have been getting complaints, people calling me upset that they're getting a ticket. All I can tell them is that our code enforcement, our police officers are enforcing our local ordinances. Okay. You talk about the tax break. Again, you're right, there is a property owner who's renting this property over here, but those tax breaks go to help bring in, it's not honest. Advance auto. Yeah, you said that. So those tax breaks go to help bring Advance Auto in. Advance Auto is the one that's paying for the mortgage and taxes on the property where they're at. So those go in to help, and that, again, these are a Class 8, is a tax incentive that is offered to businesses, and there is multiple, if you want to call them townships. We live in the township of Bloom. We are one of the areas that are considered as a stressed area. So that's what those are for, is to help your businesses come to your community. A lot of people want to say that the property owner got the tax break. Well, no, he didn't. Because who ended up paying that tax bill was the person who's inside that building. So we had multiple meetings with Advance Auto. And that was one of the selling points to get them here. Because their taxes would have been at a certain level, and they would not have come to Sauk Village. But by being able to get them a Class 8, made it where they could afford it. And they did all the numbers, and that's why they're here. And that's why you see all the work that's going on over there. That's why you see a ribbon cutting ceremony When it comes to talking to property owners, again, you can ask them to come, but it's up to them. Okay? Again, I've talked to them, Mr. Duckett, they are doing additional work. If you look at down on the other side of Sharps, they're in there doing all kinds of work in there to get those buildings up to speed. When you talk to them about their parking lots, if you want to talk to Sherry, we've issued a lot of tickets to property owners because of their parking lots, because of landscaping, because of, if you want to call it high weeds, things like that, where you're not keeping up. And in fact, I met with a property owner, him and his father tonight before the meeting, so I didn't get out here until 7 o'clock. Because they came in with a handful of tickets. And all I can say to them is, it's their responsibility as a property owner to keep their property. Okay? So, I can tell you that tickets are being issued. And if you look around the town, you'll see a lot of businesses that want to work to their areas. You just drive around, look at how many in the last year have blacktop their parking lots, and how many have put stripes in their parking lots, and how many have cleaned up their areas. There's a lot. And that's due to people like Sherry and Sue going out there to the businesses and saying, you know what, you need your businesses up there. Okay, so there is work going on, but I just want to make sure I clear that understanding. Everyone's thinking that Mr. Duckett is getting a tax break. Well, he's not. Advance Auto is the one that received that, and Advance Auto, to get them to come to Sauk Village, they needed that, and they required that. And like I said, we had multiple meetings with Advance Auto, trying to make sure we can work that out. And there's other incentives out there. When a business comes to Sauk Village and says, I want to open a business in your community, or I want to bring something to your community, we sit down with, of course, myself, the attorneys. We look at if the engineers need to be brought in. We look at South River mayors and managers. We look at P.L.A.N. We work with the planning and development out of Cook County, planning and development and economic development out of the state, to find out what incentives they have. Because remember, we're in Cook County. We're the highest tax rate when it comes to, you go to the east, we've got Dyer, Indiana, that has very low taxes. You go to the south, you have Will County, that has very low taxes. So it's very difficult for Cook County to involve businesses in your community. You have to give them some type of tax incentives. You have to give them some type of breaks when it comes to employee training. There's a lot of programs out there that if you have so many employees, you've raised so many employees, the state will give you money to help train those employees. So there's a learning curve when you bring in businesses. There's a lot of work that goes on. So. All right, that's.
I'm Vanessa Coburn. I live at 216 Sauk Village. At least I think I live on Sauk Village or in Sauk Village. I'm not sure. I feel like I live in Inglewood in the south side of Chicago because of the violence in my area. I'm right off Peterson Street where it's violence. I've only been here 2 years and 2 teenagers have been killed. You guys talk about sidewalks, zoning, pipelines, stuff like that. I'm like, where do I live? Because everything here sounds great. It is, you guys are great, but where I live at, Saturday night, my daughter went in my room because we hear 3 gunshots and find out the next day a kid was killed. That's a big issue. It really is. You got a lot of teenagers out here. They have absolutely nothing to do but fight or shoot each other. And we need to have more people. It's always targeted, always the same area. But what I hear is Peterson Street. I would known about Peterson Street. I would never move on 216. Nowhere near Peterson Street. Because I hear about other people who live in Sauk Village that say it's nice and it's quiet. We got a lot of people that keep their homes up, working class people. But you got people who watch the working class people go to work every day and want to go in their house and break in. You got teenagers doing mischievous things because they have nothing else to do. I know I read an article, or you guys had before, that if people are renting and there's issues in the home where they're breaking in or gang violence or something like that, from what I hear, you guys are supposed to put them out or something. What's going to be done about that? 2 people in 2 years. That's ridiculous. And it's going to get worse. It is. I made the statement before, but I don't know if it's just you know, my side of the block, it don't matter, or as long as it don't happen in your area, we can talk about sidewalks, zoning, piping and stuff like that, like everything's great. I know in here, it feel like Mayberry, but out there, it don't feel like that. I'm afraid, I really am. And I shouldn't be. I shouldn't be.
I can't talk too much about what happened the other night. I can tell you it happened around midnight. I do know about that. I do know that we have the major crimes task force that is working on the case. And in fact, we've got about 40 officers from surrounding communities that have jumped into Sauk Village. And it doesn't make anyone feel good that to hear it's not just Sauk Village. If you listen to the news every night, you hear, you know, shootings going on everywhere. You know, the important thing is that if we, you know your neighborhood, call the police. We're going to push the issue. Call the police. You know, if you see someone standing on a corner at midnight, they don't belong there. Someone should be calling the police and say, I have a suspicious person standing outside on the corner. Because that's all it does. It draws things like this. And now, again, I can't get into everything because the investigation is going on. I can tell you that every shooting we've had so far, that the individuals have been caught and brought to justice. I have no doubt that the individual that did the shooting that night will be caught and brought to justice. I have no doubt. But again, sometimes it doesn't make the residents feel better. I can tell you we have a fantastic police department that works with the major crime task force. And they go out there and they go after the individuals. And that's what we need to continue sending a message to the gangbanger and the criminal that Sauk Village is not the place to go and shoot somebody or break into houses because you're going to get caught. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to send a clear message. So I was over there last night and saw the work that they're doing. It's amazing when you see how many police officers from other communities have come to Sauk Village to help us to try to resolve this issue and try to catch this thug that would do something that's heinous as this in our community. So, I can assure you they're out there working on this case. That's it.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kevin B. Freeman. 2027 is 2018th Street. My house was just built the night of the Bears game. Not to contradict what you just said, man, but I don't get along with it. I really don't. I've been out here a year. He's been out here 2 years. I've been out here a year. And I don't see any progress. These guys are on foot. They're on foot. I can't believe that they have that much intelligence, that they're smarter than Sauk Village Police Department. I just can't believe that. I can't. Officer came to my house. I showed him the footprints leading from my house out my back gate to another house. These guys don't have problems. They don't. They're teenagers. It takes 2 people to carry a 50-inch steel. 2 people. Now, you need to tell me that these guys have that much intelligence that they can outsmart the task force, they're going to diligence. I don't believe that. It's black and black crime. This is my personal opinion. You feel the same way. If it's happening to you, you don't give a shit. Excuse my French.
What
That's
about,
just how I feel.
what about the dog issue? You haven't had mail in 2 weeks. The mailman won't come out. They can go to the mail department, pick it up. What's the problem? Who did it? You was right the address down over here? Cause I got that. I can wrap it out. I was out there when the mailman got hit, wanted to get through. You're not gonna keep coming down there, dogs keep attacking. Now we can't get out of there. Because the mailman scared to come down. So what we gonna have to do, get mail, pieces of mailbox and put it on the gate? The mailman will pick it up. The truck will pick it up. It's a different business.
drive around and see they got these stash houses. Well, you know they got these stash houses, then why don't you rent them?
It's time, let's go over some of this stuff here, and again, I know you're both newly residents, 1 year, 2 years, so.
I'm not a new resident, well,
1 year.
like I said, a year.
Okay, hey, you said a year, you said approximately 2 years.
I got 8.
Okay, 8 years. I lived here 40, over 40. Okay, I was raised here. So, I've lived here all my
Well, I
life.
met your 2 sons. I met your 2 sons.
Okay. All right, so, again, when you talk about, you're right, a lot of these kids are on foot, and you're right, they do watch. That's why the residents need all the police. You're right, because then what's happening is, okay, now, you have to wait, because there's not a debate here, okay? You've got your 3 minutes, and then I'm trying to answer it. A lot of these areas, you're right, the police know there's a problem, because they're constantly at that house. And you're right when you say these kids are watching to know when you leave, and so they know when to go in. Again, it's calling the police. We continue saying, call the police. You've got to get the information out to the police department. The mail, you dealt with that once before, and the best person we need to talk to is Trustee Myers. And he's got the ordinance on the dogs, and did we ever go in there at the other area and tranquilize dogs? So we've already went into one area and tranquilized dogs. I've got no problem sending the police in to tranquilize more dogs. So if you can, make sure you get the information to Trustee Myers, because he's been the one working with the police department and the fire department and getting those dogs tranquilized. So we'll work on that. I know I received a postcard in the mail this last week that said keep our dogs inside. So I don't know if everyone in the village dealt with it, but I don't have a dog outside, so I just thought it was something to do. All right. First time hearing about it. So
218th Street and 218th Place.
Okay. We'll work on it. We'll just get the information to Trustee Myers, and he's the one that's.
See that address?
So, all right. So, we're after this meeting. They use it right now. That's fine. So, all righty. So, all right. Anyone else? All right. Seeing none, we move to miscellaneous business by the trustees.
I just kind of just piggyback off of what just transpired. Just for everybody else's knowledge, I know I've stated this before, my house was broken into in March. So it's not, sometimes I think that some people think that because you're an elected official, I don't know if we have this invisible force field around us, or like we don't have to pay water bills, and we've got social, like, Secret Service security, not sure. My house was broken into in March, and they were young kids, because I've got bars on my windows, and they were able to slither in and take some TVs, and they walked right out. And the problem is that it happened when nobody was home, and none of my neighbors saw anything, and none of my neighbors called the police, because I, like Mr. Freeman, have a hard time believing that you see somebody walking down the street with a 45-inch TV in their hand. I'm gonna think something's wrong with that picture. And I'm not gonna approach them, but I'm gonna call the police, because they're gonna have to approach them. Just yesterday, as I'm sitting in my kitchen, somebody knocks on my door, and there's 3 small children knocking on the door and saying, "Is my sister here?" No, your sister's not here. My roommate said that they were just at the house next door. So I watched them, and they went to the house right next door, on the other side of me. Knocked on the door, the person answered the door, and I assume they asked the same question. I couldn't hear. That, to me, looked suspicious. So I picked up the phone, I called a non-emergency number, and I explained what happened to the dispatcher. Now, they were all under the age of 11 probably. They could have been looking for an older sister, and the police could help them with that. Or they could be scouting out my house. 10 years ago, I went to London, and 2 small children under the age of 8 came and asked us for bus fare, and in the 30 seconds that we talked to them, they put a paper towel on the table and stole my best friend's wallet right off the table, and they were under 8. Just that quick. So we all kind of just need to be a little bit more aware. I know Trustee Washington is doing a great job with the neighborhood watch and their signs, but we can't just post signs and post decals if we're not gonna live it. If you see something strange, you need to call the police, because the police can't do anything if they don't know. You know, like the mayor said, he's just now finding out about the mail on 218. He can't do anything if he doesn't know anything. So really just kind of encourage everybody, keep a lookout, see what's going on, because it's not just one isolated area. You know, my parents live right down the street from me. You know, and I'm only a couple blocks over. And my street, before my house got broken into, my street was relatively quiet, never had a problem. And we're blocks away. You know, it is isolated areas, but people need to kind of speak up, be willing to put your name to a ticket, be willing to, you know, the first thing the dispatcher asked me was, are you okay with leaving your name and phone number? And I said, absolutely. My name is Trustee Rosie Williams. My phone number is this. You call me when you guys know what's going on. Officer called me back. You know, what's the worst thing they're gonna do? 3 11-year-olds are gonna egg my house? Okay, I'd rather have that than my neighbors 2 doors down who are elderly, who happen to be out of town, get their house broken into. Just some food for thought.
Thank you. Trustee Rogers.
I have a couple of things. First thing, Mr. Mayor, as far as the dog incident, I was here yesterday at Village Hall, and I talked to one lady that told me exactly what those gentlemen stated, that the dogs, it was a dog issue on her block, and that she could not get her mail. Okay. I told her I would bring it up today, this afternoon, but I'm sorry, this evening at the meeting, I see the gentleman brought it up, but my question is this: can we get the police department to find out who owns that dog, give them a citation, take that dog away, anti-cruelty or whatever, so they can, so the postman can feel comfortable walking down that street. Just tranquilizing that dog means that that dog has to come out again. If the neighbors know where that dog lives, where it comes from, go to that person. If people are complaining that much and they're not getting their mail, go to that house. If they don't want to surrender the dog, they get a fine anyway. But if the dog is found, then you're right. We tranquilize the dog and take it to the anti-cruelty society. But we have to find a way to get those people their mail issued again, instead of going to the P.O. box or going to the post office. We, as a village, we should find out what we can do so they can get their mail back. And whatever it is we have to do, we have to have someone stand there, or the police department, but we have to find a way to reassure that postmen so they can get their money back. I mean, get their mail delivered. That's something I think we should try to look into ASAP. Second thing, I just wanted to announce that I am having another series of town hall. I'm having another town hall meeting, 4th in the series, Wednesday, October 24th. It'll be at Rickover Junior High again. The flyers in the back from 7 p.m. to 8:30. September 24th, Wednesday. That's next Wednesday, a week from tomorrow, at Rickover Junior High. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's it.
All right, okay. I think one thing that I forgot to mention too was, your John used to be a Postmaster General. You know, the postman has, to file a police report. And if they file a police report, if it's bit, then they should go with the dog. And I'll find out if he did file a police report, why the dogs are still there.
Right.
Again, it has to be brought to my attention before I do something.
She actually said that the postman told the neighbors they had to go get it, and he came up to the police department.
Now that I know about this, I can dig into it. I knew nothing about it. I said, Fran, and say honestly, I didn't know anything about it, but now I do. So we'll get into it. Sure, I think sure. Okay, let's go ahead. We'll work our way back. Go ahead, Ed. Trustee Marsh, go ahead. You're not on.
This board passed the,
You're not on.
Turn the mic up. Can't hear you. Turn it down.
we passed a vicious dog ordinance that does give the right to our police chief upon finding out about a vicious dog or his officer does go over there, and they deem that dog as a vicious animal, then they can take that dog into custody and take it over to the clinic and have the dog put down. However, if we don't, if our officers don't feel safe enough to do it, one call to Dr. Alexander at Cook County Animal Control, and they will come out and they will take that dog into custody and do what is necessary. And the owner of that dog will be required to come for a hearing. And the decision of that hearing will be made by Dr. Alexander. I have explained this procedure twice to our police department, and if, no, I'm not going to go there. Anyway, we do have the words in place. They can do it, but on the situation of the mail, I know for a fact that not his area, but another area off of 221st, the mail will stop because the new postman was delivering mail, and the house just happened to be our fire chief, had a dog in it, and the dog was barking. The postman felt no life of the danger for the dog growling and barking inside that dog. Well, so what they did, just as Trustee Burgess said, and you said, they went to the post office, talked to the postmaster, talked to the young man of delivery mail, assured the young postman that the dog could not get out. He came there with them and showed the dog there's no way to get out but that resident. However, postmaster did explain to the chief at any time a mail deliverer feels that his life is in danger, he has the right to stop delivery of that mail until the police, he has followed the police, notify his boss and notify the county animal control, I think. But anyway, we have ordinance in place to take care of the problem. Once again, if our officers are trained and they feel they can't handle it, then they can contact Cook County. Cook County will come out and take care of the problem, and then it will be turned over to Dr. Alexander. Yes, there are procedures in place to take care of that, Mayor, and I'm glad to discuss those with you after the meeting or whatever.
Can you handle this one, this issue?
I would love to.
Okay, appreciate it. But I want to get out the next couple days. Okay, no, just work on it right now. Go ahead, Trustee Washington. Trustee Washington? Ready?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we're on number 5, right? Number 6.
We're on 6.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I'm just trying to sit here and digest all of the information that I've heard since we've been here tonight. I would like to talk to the young lady that got up and talked to them on Peterson when the meeting is over. I'm going to come down so I can talk with you. I just want to say I think that it is just absolutely mind-boggling that this has been going on for the residents on that block for 2 weeks with the postman. That's why I was aggressive, and I'm going to pick back up the momentum of trying to get a village manager. There are so many things that happen in this village that's serious that we don't even know about. We should have known about that. If we had a village manager in place or someone that took care of the daily business of the village, we would know about these kind of incidents. If I didn't get my mail for 2 weeks, I would be upset because I have a lot of documents that come to me that I need my mail, checks. People that have children that's in school, their kids could be suspended, they don't know, they're not getting mail. Mail is just crucial to be able to get. And those are the kinds of things that a village manager will be able to do to keep the mayor and the trustees abreast of what's going on a daily basis, as well as on an incidental basis of things that happen. I'm personally myself, I emailed the village clerk because I can't reply all about all of these things that's been going on. The shooting, somebody was in front of a store, Subway, flashing a gun, and then went down a few more down before they were apprehended. And there was some shooting over on
the latest street, one of these streets over here, people are calling me, telling me about all these different incidents, and residents calling to tell me, a trustee, about what's going on in the village because I don't know. And then when I reply to the village clerk, absolutely no one responds to me. Today, nobody responds to me but the village clerk to at least give me some insight of what she feels or what she at least thinks. And that's why I was looking through this brochure. We go to IML. I would encourage us all to go to this class on what we've got here is a failure to communicate. We need to communicate, number one, with one another. If we can't communicate as leaders in the village, how can we expect the department heads to communicate with us? It makes no sense. I'm just really upset about it because I am a new trustee a year in. There's a lot of things that I don't know. And sometimes people don't want to tell you things because maybe it's old hat to them, but when people are getting shot and stabbed and threatened and homes are being burglarized. I have people that call me because their homes have been burglarized. I went over there on Yates the other night to a lady on the corner that showed me a big hole in her window where they threw a brick through the window and carried her television out. She was cooking, she turned everything off, she went to the store. When she came back from the store, it was a big hole in her window and her 50-inch television was gone. And I was like, okay, I know you all call the police, I know about that whole process, but still, at the end of the day, people won't write down answers. They don't want to wait until whenever something is done about it. They want to know that somebody is listening to what they have to say and have some kind of solution or some kind of answer. So what I'm saying in whole is, I think that it's crucial that we communicate with one another, number one. And when I communicate to the village clerk, like I'm supposed to, because I can reply all, I would appreciate anyone or everyone replying back to me. Because if anyone would ask me a question or send me an email, I try my best to reply back to you immediately. And I just think that that's a discourtesy to me when I'm trying to find out information to tell residents. Also, I have a lot of residents that do call the police. And when the police comes to an incident where a resident have called and get out of their squad car and go talk to the criminal because they know them and never come talk to the person that calls, that's the issue for people when they call in. Because they are so well known, because they do so much stuff in the community. When the officer pull up and they walk over to them, oh no, Officer so-and-so, man, you did do that. And they have a whole conversation going on. You don't even come to see what I want. I'm the person that called. Or the flip side, I don't want to be identified, and you come to the city, come straight to my house, and they say, oh, she the one that called. So I mean, we need to just tighten up that whole loop, whether people want to be identified or not. When people call it, they feel satisfied after that they called about the problem that they called about. So at the end of the day, I'm going to put it out there again. If there's anyone that want to be on the committee, we had a committee working, but the village is busy doing a lot of good positive things right now. But we're going to have to step back and do whatever it takes to pull the belt, I feel, tighter with the communication between the residents and the trustees and the mayor and the department heads, because this crime is escalating. And I do feel the people pain, not just over there on Peterson and Carroll, but feel like, okay, one person got shot and got killed. Thank God that the people got caught. But in the meantime, is it okay for us to come out tonight? Do we let the people that work at night? A lot of parents work that third shift. They leave at 11 until 7. So if they hear about a shooting at 9 or 10, can I come out? Is it okay? Is the person within the neighborhood? They run out to the community? How can they call and get some kind of information to at least feel safe the next day? Can our kids walk to the bus stop? And this is the last thing. I was at the library, and they came up with the director of the library. Dan told me that for the first time, Wagner School called and told them that the parents told the school, no, our children cannot walk to the library, from Wagner to the library, and pick from the community garden to get a free book because there's too much shooting going on. So evidently that whole school of parents haven't had an update on what's going on to know that their children are safe enough to walk 3 blocks to the public library right here in Sauk Village. So it's not just one area, it's all over. We need to find a way to communicate with all of the entities, with the schools, with the police department, and with us as elected officials. And I'm just asking again that if I send out a communication, that somebody would read what I said and respond back to me or send me an answer, give the village clerk, so I can intelligently answer residents that have great concerns. And that concludes my statement and report.
Trustee, I'm going to respond to some of this. You're right, you're new, and there's some things you don't understand. And when it comes to communication, there's certain things you won't find out. And it's because there's investigations going on. there's certain things as a mayor, I don't have information on. Because that investigation has to deal with going after people, and you don't want those people out there knowing that the police are coming after you, most likely. You have potential pending litigations that could happen in the future. And as a trustee, the least you know is probably sometimes the best. And your response to a resident is, number one, Sauk Village is safe. What we have is, if you look at the majority of these shootings, it's people that came in from outside of Sauk Village and did the shooting. So, when it comes to investigations, there's stuff you're not gonna get. There's stuff I don't even get. Because it stays with the police department. We are part of a major gangs task force that is working on this, and they're working almost 24 hours a day to try to get these issues resolved. So, you're not going to get the information. So, again, and it's going to continue in that way until we get these people. So, and usually what happens is the chief will come and get a report on Tuesday nights, every other Tuesday night, and say, here's where we're at. Just like he said in the last Tuesday night, we finally caught the one who did the shooting over there by the plaza. Okay? They've had him for a while, but it did not come out until last Tuesday night. There's things that happens, and there's certain reasons why information is not passed off, because there's the police department, when there's investigations going on, they don't want the public to know. And that's what helps, keeps the investigation going and makes it where we catch
I'm
people.
not talking about the details of the investigation, I'm talking about informational facts. Somebody calls me and says, I just read on Facebook, somebody got shot on 17th Street. All the information is up on Facebook, on the page they got it. I don't even know if that even happened. That's what I'm talking about. Was there a shooting? Somebody on 17th Street, somebody get shot over here. I see on Facebook that they got shot. Here's a picture of the car, a picture of the gas glass, all broken out in the car. They got all the pictures, crime tag, everything on Facebook. I don't even know that the shooting occurred. I'm talking about
You've got
the litigation or the injuries. I'm talking about just the facts. Was there a shooting? Did somebody have a gun in front of the subway? That's what I'm talking about. Residents that see them with a gun that was in subway. I'm not talking about the litigation part or the
And here's what happens is, you can't keep people from having scanners. So if someone's got a scanner, and they hear shots fired, or they hear something going on, they're gonna jump in their car, they go do it, or you have people in the area who's taking pictures with their cell phone. We live in a society where everyone has a picture or a camera on their phone, they're out there taking pictures. So, you're not gonna find out about every single thing that happens. You're not gonna find out about every single break-in. I mean, I just talked to the chief the other day, they just got done catching someone who's breaking in homes, they caught him red-handed. So, you don't hear about stuff like that, because the police are doing their job. And there's nothing worse than to have, again, the old saying, loose lips sink ships. You don't want to sink an investigation because someone's out here that's sitting on this board that says something that's part of an investigation that should not have been said. And that's what ends up happening when you have too much information. There's nothing wrong with this board getting information after the fact, just like sometimes I get the information after the fact. There's nothing wrong with it. If something needs to go out, what I tell the chief is, if you're going to do a news article, you're going to come out with a news release, we want to make sure the trustees know about it before it happens. That's what we try to do. Because the trustees should know something about it before it goes to an official news release. If someone's out on Facebook taking pictures and they're putting stuff out there on Facebook, there's nothing you can do about it. They don't have the official information. They don't have the official statement. And that's what the people should be looking for.
But they have the information. That's the point I'm making. You listen to my point. I hear your point. But what I'm saying is that there is something that's happening in this village, and the residents know about it because it's happening next door to them, or because they see 100 kids on the block, and they see massive helicopters, and they call me on the phone and say, "This helicopter's over here." Like that, it did happen in front of Tony's Liquor, and between the barber shop, I was at work at the school district. I got a phone call from residents saying, "This helicopter's over in Sauk Village. It was a shooting over there." Nobody called me, but we haven't get an email from anybody saying that it happened. So I'm not going to the investigation is over there, because I'm saying that something actually goes down.
And they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop and email you or text you. They are in the middle of an investigation, and things happen just like that. Then you've got you're calling people in. They're calling people in to go after the scene. They're doing investigations. You know, when they get time to stop, they will text and tell them about it. You know, I was in the hospital over at Our Lady of Mercy, St. Margaret's, in the emergency room when that happened over by Tony's. Okay? My wife, she came home for a minute, came back, and she said, something's going on in Sauk Village. I told the doctor, I said, I'm leaving. He said, well, when I'm done with your test, I said, I'm leaving. I said, whatever you have to do to get me to sign out, I'll sign out. No one picked up the phone, no one called me, no one texted me. My wife said, there's something major happening in Sauk Village. I finished getting dressed, I got in my car, and I came straight here. So, I don't really think that someone, or certain people on this board are getting information, certain people's not, they're not. What happens is, the first thing is the investigation, making sure the scene is safe, making sure you have people in place, and then contacting the trustees. And I have no problem with that. And in fact, same thing with contacting the mayor. I've got no problem as long as they're out there making sure the scene is safe and starting the investigation. If they want to call me the next day and give me an update, if they want to send out a text the next day, I've got no problem with it. Because I know that they're out there doing what they're supposed to be doing. And they're not stopping something that's important to come back and send me a text. That can be waited on.
I think part of the issue is that sometimes we get the information, sometimes we don't, and it's sporadic. And I'm not saying that we should stop, and they should stop at any given time, but chances are that when something's happening, there are certain personnel, key personnel of this department that are not on the scene when it first happened. They get alerted. And if the people on the scene are not alerting the chief and down the ranks immediately, that's an issue to look into. But something I feel like has to be, because you're right, if they're in the middle of something and they can't stop and text us right then and there, awesome. Well, today's Tuesday, and I haven't got a text message, a phone call, an email, a carrier pigeon, or anything. But again, I found out because people have scanners. People have scanners, they get out, they call other people, it's all over Facebook, and it amazes me how much information must go out on scanners, because if you look at a certain Facebook page, we got the height, we got the weight, we got the age, we got the name, we got the pictures, we got everything. Now, they either know somebody who has good information, which is a problem, and does happen, or it goes out on scanners, which is a different problem. Which means there's got to be some kind of way to kind of reduce the information that's going out. Everybody over there has a cell phone. Everybody, just like citizens are bringing cell phones to the crime scene, so are officers. I don't know if they need to communicate more over there, because a lot of information is getting linked on Facebook. Well, and it's actually, speaking for that person, I did see a time where names and everything else were out there before family was even notified. So he's got a little bit more sense now, where he's not putting names and locations and everything before the family is even notified, which is respectful. But there is a lot of information, and I agree with you. I don't think they should stop doing anything. But I come from the same era that you did, where back in the old Nextel days, where 3 o'clock in the morning, you're getting jumped out of your sleep because your phone is chirping, because there's been shots fired, or there's somebody, a major break-in. We're not going to hear about every TV that's walking away, because 3 TVs a day I feel like are getting stolen. So we're not going to hear about every minor drug bust, but the chirps at 3 a.m. about shots fired, somebody getting shot, or big drug busts, or houses breaking into, big, when the police do it. That we used to get, and we don't. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. I agree with Trustee Washington. You've got people calling, you've got people wondering. The pat response that I always go with is, if this happened, okay, the police department is working on it. I'm not going to know the investigation. I don't expect an investigation. But I try not to have that look of shock on my face when a resident comes to me and says, so what happened at Tony's? I was at work when the thing happened at Tony's, and my housekeeper at work came to my office and said, Rosie, what happened at Tony's? I don't know what happened at Tony's. I'm not on Facebook. I don't, know, I'm working, so what happened to Tony? She had told me it was actually her grandson that died, but she had to tell me about it, and I'm just like, I don't know.
I can tell you on Peterson Avenue, what happened Sunday night, early in the morning, where it was. Sunday, it happened Saturday, it happened Sunday morning at around midnight. The people knew who the individual was. They lived on the street. Because I got a call from someone who doesn't live on Peterson Avenue. I got a call from an individual who lived almost right in front of where it happened, and called him and told him what happened, the name of the individual, and where he was lying. So, the residents in that area knew who that individual was. All I say is, where I live, if someone's standing on a corner at midnight, if someone's standing on a corner at 11 o'clock, I'm calling the police. Because you don't belong standing on a corner.
It's like three little kids don't belong knocking on everybody's door down there. You've got to start calling. If you see somebody you know, if they knew him and he didn't even live in South Village, you knew he was there for no reason. So people have got to start not being afraid to call and own up to it, because it's just going to continue.
First of all, Neighborhood Watch Chair, we have a lot of more phone calls maybe than some of the other elected officials have. I have roughly 50-something block club captains, and we have really pushed for them, Trustee Myers, not for them to call the police. They call Trustee Myers, they call me, they call Gary Holden, they call us all the time, all day. There was a man breaking in the house at the end of my block with a hood on. He was halfway in the house and halfway out the house. They called the police. The police came, and we were told that the police let him go because he told the police I was going to charge up my phone. Now, what I can do and will do is let people come here on a Tuesday night and get in the line and go all the way out this door and tell their own stories. We could be here at midnight, or I can come here and try to get answers to go back and tell people things that I brought to the business and try to get answers to. Every story that I tell have a face to it. And then on man coming up in here, one woman got her door shot and took the bullet out of her screen door sitting on her porch. She had just been in the house over there on Peterson and brought the bullet in a bag to the police station and was told, what do you want me to do with that? Now, I don't have to come here and tell what people say. They can come tell you themselves what they say. And they can stand right there and give you their name and address, but they, like they say, they don't want their face and their name and their address given here, and then they're put up on YouTube with their name and their face given their address here. So something needs to be done, and the meetings that I have attended, the South Suburban Mayor's Management, the people that conducted the meeting that I went to were village managers, and they said it's a part of my job. The question that I asked them, who disseminates that information to the community and to the elected officials? They said, it's a part of my job and whatever goes on to let the mayor and the trustees know what's going on. That's what I do. I run the facility. I run the village. I'm like, wow. How soon as you get that information to them? They say, as soon as it happens, I will let them know what I know. That's all I'm asking. When I put a text out to everybody, I don't want to know who got caught, what he was wearing, and if it's navigational laws. I'm just saying, did you hear somebody got shot on Peterson? Did you hear somebody had gone over by Subway? I'm just asking for general information because people are calling me with pertinent information that's credible from credible block club captains. And I have to tell them, oh, I don't know. Like Rosie said, oh, I don't know nothing about it.
We can go on all night with this. I mean, I have stories, everybody here has stories. Looks like we have a little bit of breakdown in the police department, and I think that's going to be all of our problems to find out what's going on. Yes, sir. I know we were notified about the incident. We've notified about every incident so far just by a brief email, just long as we've notified. Trustee Williams stated, today's Tuesday, and I don't think anybody on this board still have received anything from no police authority at all. Fine, fine and dandy. I agree with you, Bert, fine and dandy. All right, but I think it's time that we need to get together with the police chief, and even if it's to the fact that just when he gets 5 minutes or so. But it seems to me that when the chief is not around himself, it seems like maybe the ball has dropped a little bit. And we need to talk to the chief and find out if maybe we can correct that. And then, yes, residents are afraid to death to call in themselves. They get their name, and a police officer comes to the park outside the house. It happened to my neighbor. 2 people from out of town, 87-year-old woman. I was here at a meeting. I got called and I left the meeting alone. They were trying to force their way in the woman's house. I asked, what's the problem? I walked over there and asked, what's the problem? Sure, I have my dog with me. And yes, my dog will eat you if I tell him to. I point blank, he will eat you if I tell him to. Now, I asked him what the problem was. Oh, we're here to talk to the woman to mow their grass. I said, man, it's 9 o'clock at night. What are you going to do, sit on the lawnmower with a flashlight? So I called the police department. I asked them, they said, sir, that's call already been terminated. That call already been terminated? Officer never came over. I've been here. So I said, I'd like to see Officer Trustee Myers. Officer came over. And he asked me, I said, well, sit in that car up there. People don't talk to him. And guess what? Lord and behold, they didn't have any idea on him. One of them had outstanding warrant on him. And he took care of the problem. Because they was trying to force away an I think she's 89-year-old woman. And they put their foot in between doors. So she reached over, she had my phone number passed out on her phone. But now that could have been some other half bad. We don't need that. We do not need that. Well, like I said, we can go on for all night long. Story like that. We need to get together and set up some other police chief. And that's the bottom line.
Maybe there is a little bit of ball drop on the chief's time, because the chief's been on vacation. He's due back tomorrow. So, that ball should, that ball should drop here pretty soon, because that's information. Sure, some of the board members will vote at a time. In fact, I need to talk to probably 2 trustees at a time, because one of them. Yeah.
Okay, back to the dog thing. Just so everybody's aware, I saw the postmaster from Chicago Heights and was there at the village post office yesterday, and he informed me of the bill that I asked for the addresses.
We can't hear back here.
Okay, can you hear now? Okay, I asked him for a letter with all the addresses that they're having problems with dogs, and he promised to get me one within the next couple of days. Since no right away, it's still put in the mail, and I was going to take it to the police chief. This will be all the houses where they're having problems. I know on 218, he said one carrier had been off of work for almost a month, and another one had backed away from the dog and fell and broke her leg somehow. I don't have an explanation on that. But they had 2 injuries, and that's why they curtailed the mail, according to the postmaster of Chicago Heights. So when I get that letter, I will present it to the chief of police so that he can take action at one time they'll get to the county. And I did tell the postmaster he does need to contact our police department to let them know which houses are the problems. But in this case, I'll bring it to them too. So that's kind of saying about that. The other thing I'd like to say on the regular report, first things I want to say is thank you for a great job by Christopher Witt and the volunteers who painted the gazebo and tables and stuff behind the village hall here. It looks really good. They did there. It's a stain, not paint. But they did a really, really good job. It looks really good. And I want to say thank you to Chris Witt. That was his Eagle Scout project. He needs one more badge and then we'll be able to be an Eagle Scout. So I have another Eagle Scout in the village. So thank you for that. Also, October 25th, we will be having a trunk and treat at the community center. So we're looking for people to decorate their cars. They don't have to decorate, but to come on out, open up their trunks, and let the kids have their candy from you. And we'll be giving away pumpkins for raffle. We'll have like a drawing for pumpkins for the boys and girls, and we'll have a costume contest to give away pumpkins, whether that's costumes. So flyer will be out the back, and I printed up, I just gotta get a copy. We had our banquet this last week, it went really well. All the trophies are out, there's some pictures on Parks and Rec, so you can look at, see all the trophies and everything. It was a fantastic time for all the kids that came out, so we had a good day there. And, that's,
All right. All right, just remind trustees, the ones that are going to the conference, get your expense reports, policies, make sure you follow that. Next, we got a letter from IDOT, saying it's okay for them to have a shine this weekend. So, okay. Who wants this letter? I've got it, so that's okay to have it. Rochester, you want it? Rochester, as already mentioned, First Baptist on Broom is having them on Sunday at 6 p.m. State Representative L.G. Sims has satellite offices hours here. There is a mistake on this. It's Saturday, September 27th. It's not Thursday. So you might, I have a thing from their office, so you might want to contact them. Okay. Yeah, it says Thursday, that's a Saturday. Yeah, that's a Saturday, so if you just let them know that it's wrong. Coming soon is on the back table. We should take a look at what's going on. Boone Township Center will be offering the following services to our community. There's a lot of information on here. I'm not going to go through and read everything, but they should be on the back table, so you should get a copy of that. The board, I should make sure I read this real quick. This was sent to me. It says, Dear Mayor Hayes, this letter is regarding an employee, Kurt Cook, Sauk Village Water Department, who I wish to commend as being a great person who represents not only himself, but the village of Sauk Village in a highly respectable manner. I met Mr. Cook a couple months ago regarding a water bill issue. Mr. Cook arrived promptly at the agreed upon time and immediately began to check meter readings. Afterwards, Mr. Cook proceeded to explain water usage, meter reading, and shared a great deal of knowledge on the subject. It was truly a pleasure in meeting Mr. Cook, who is one of the most professional Sauk Village employees I have recently encountered. In conclusion, please present Mr. Cook with a copy of this letter and place a copy in his personal file. Thank you. And this is from village resident Cecil Case. So, Eric's been working with Sauk Village for a while. You know, I think you should make sure copies get to Kevin